الانتربرينور جيرني طبعا فضل الله ثم عائلتي، يعني انه بديت اشتغل بعمري وايد صغير. يعني احنا تربينا ان احنا من احنا صغار من عمر 9 سنوات ان كنا نشتغل في الصيف سنه ورا سنه ورا سنه. طبعا انا تسميه يعني عمري 17 ماي فيرست اي سي جوب، انه معناته ماي فيرست اندور جوب. كنت اشتغل طبعا وانا صغير في الصيف، تبي تسمونه كميكانيك، اغير تواير في برجستون يعني. الحمد لله يعني. هاي بس هاي طبعا شكر يعني والدين، لان او يعني فضل لهم لانهم كانوا يضغطونا واحنا صغار. ف وتعلمنا وايد. وطبعا من عمر صغير، من عمري يعني من عمري 13 14 كنت ابيع وايد اشياء، اشتري برودكت وابيع في المدرسه واحصل ماي مارجنز. وبعدين فتحت، طبعا استغفر الله ما فتحنا، اسسنا شركه لكن ما سجلناها، كنا نبيع تمر. هاي عمرنا 16. اي بصراحه it was a very good business صراحه I have to say. يعني إذا ارجع الزمن اواصل الشركه، يمكن ما كنت اروح جامعه. ف فطبعا من احنا عمرنا صغير احنا we've been always into business ونستانس على الشيء. طبعا it's not a walk in the park، بس انه يعني الشيء عاجبنا واحنا نحبه. Just to recap on what I said, I've started working from a very young age. I used to work every summer, from a mechanic to changing tires to everything until the age of 17. I had my first AC job as a rotation in a few departments in one of the companies in Bahrain. And during my university, I used to also work approximately every summer in different entities in Dubai and Bahrain, and then I used to work and study. Yeah, so my entrepreneurial journey started from a very young age. I'm very thankful that alhamdulillah I was able to establish my own entities and was able to reach to a success where I can depend on the entities and their growth. Nadher Media is an entity we established in 2019. Me, my partner Uthman, we established it, and thankfully, alhamdulillah, after a few years, we became the largest in what we do in Bahrain. Basically, we install screens in elevators, and we saw that niche in other developed countries, and we brought it to the market, and alhamdulillah, we grew extremely fast. Thankfully, shukr that works very well. So that's the company in a nutshell, of course. I would like to highlight one very important factor before opening any company is you have to, and I underline it 100 times because this is not my first entity and we've faced a lot of difficulties before. And what I would say, you have to do a lot of market research. Globally, locally, regionally, everything you can do. Yani the internet is a very good factor, but you cannot only depend on the internet. You ask market experts or similar market experts if you're creating a business that you think you don't have any competitors. If you have a competitor, even if he's in Europe, Germany, US, try to reach out to him, understand from them. Then you would be surprised how much people want to teach. Or how much, yani if you talk to someone that's been successful for 30 years, he will not be shy to give you a few words of advice. He will help you. So 100% you have to always do your market research. We open companies without market research, and I honestly tell you, you will lose a lot of money for no reason. So if you do your market research, you analyze the market as much as you can, that would give you an immediate boost. Yeah, I'm telling you, okay, alhamdulillah, Nadher has been growing fast, but the actual background of it is we spent 6 months of trial and error and market research. So that I would say that the success or the growth, let's say, was built on the 6 months of market research. We knew what we wanted to tackle. We knew who are our competitors. We knew who was our target market. Of course, you pivot along the way, you adjust. That's a must. Yani. You cannot expect not to be able to adjust to change. You have to be always flexible. As an entrepreneur or an entity owner, you have to be always flexible. You have to know what's coming next. when you analyze the research, why do I say, personally, when we do a new business, first of all, we do the whole market research. Number one. We finish the market research. We talk to any expert we want to hear the advice from. Select your experts selectively and don't be biased. To create a business plan. It's not for anyone, it's for you. Why do you create a business plan? Because once you do it in writing and you read and you build on the business plan, why would it help you? Because you would be enhancing your company before you start. You would know what you would need. And for example, you thought you might only need an office, maybe an employee or a co-founder but then you find out you need 10 more stuff to have the company running. I would say after research, know how to optimize. If you're a startup or a SME, you have to know how to optimize efficiently. If you can create policies and procedures that can help you become efficient, because I'll be honest, you and maybe 2 or 3 people that are with you, you are literally the ones that are controlling the company. So you're only 4 people managing a full company. So if you're not efficient in what you do day by day, and there's things that are taking so much of your time when you can make it better, this is a waste of time. You have to have your policies or you have to have a process ready that will save you honestly time and money and will help you grow extremely fast. So these things you do it initially. You don't do, you'll build on the policies as you go. That's fine. But you have these things ready from day one. So once you launch or once you're ready, you can go ahead, be aggressive. This, in my opinion, because we opened, honestly, I'm thankful, but we opened we won't talk about them today, but we opened several technology companies before them. Thankfully, we had an exit before that, and it applies. I found it for my personal benefit. I found it applicable for every industry. If you're a marketing expert, if you're a tech expert, if you're a industry expert, a factory expert, this is applicable to all industries because it gives you a better market understanding of what you're going to face. Hey, Zainab, صح. You reduce your risk by knowing what to expect. There's no written formula of success. You have to know that. You have to have the mindset of being able to pivot. وشيء ثاني, I have to say this to everyone on the call. إذا أنتم مثلا Bahrain, you are from Bahrain, you want to open an entity in Bahrain, don't be focused on the market size because you can expand geographically if you want to. Is it easy? لا طبعا, of course it's not easy, but you can, and you have to know you have a huge market in hand. If you think of Bahrain, you have to think of the GCC. If you think GCC, you can think MENA. And that's how you have to target a higher benchmark to reach even 50% of what you want to achieve. Always target the bigger picture, and that's your target always. Every day you wake up, you have to reach that target. First of all, you have to know that we are neighboring countries. For example, I'll take Saudi, but they are a completely different market, different mindsets, different people, different purchasing power. And but when you start an entity, yes, I would recommend having a minimal viable product, MVP. Have something ready that you can test on the market. Do surveys before that. Know what the market wants. And sometimes you believe what you have what you believe you have the best idea in the world, which is it might be true 100%, but and you will be able to do it. And I don't know anyone on this call, but I believe that your idea can work, but you have to know, you have to understand if there is demand in the market. Because sometimes you create an idea that might be in Europe and US, but the market will not accept it for the next 4 or 5 years. For example, if I wanted to bring an electric, for example, if I wanted to bring an electric company to Bahrain, electric car company to Bahrain 5 years ago, it would not work because gas prices are very reasonable in the region and it's not convenient. So understand if there is demand in the market, and that's also part of your research. So do your MVP, yes. Starting in Bahrain is not an issue. Bahrain is a beautiful market. No matter whatever people will tell you, Bahrain is an amazing market. Bahrain has a lot of potential for you to start your business and also to take over what you want to focus on. If you want to expand geographically, you have to know that surrounding markets are multiples in size. So if you're not efficient in Bahrain, you're not ready for those markets. I'm not saying don't enter, but be ready for efficiency, because if you have efficiency during your processes, you will reduce time and risk when you expand. And when you expand your team, that's all simple. So always start with an MVP that has been tested regionally or wherever you want to do it. يعني a lot of the companies صراحة أنا بديتهم في شركات بديناها 1000 دينار، في شركات بديتها وما عندي فلوس، يعني عادي، يعني ما يضر. يعني أول شيء doing your research costs you zero money. هاي بس تتعلم. You only learn. Finance is not a major issue. Yes, it is a factor because you cannot run a business without money. It is a factor. You need working capital to operate. You need to rent an office. You need to live. Especially, you need to reward yourself for the time that you dedicate for the company. Regardless if it's your company or not, you have to be rewarded for it. Reach of finances is not a big issue. Do your research and development, analyze the market, have something ready. Trust me, you can talk to people. People are willing to invest. If that's a major factor that you believe you will not be able to open your company, people are there to invest. But be sure that when you go talking to people, you have to be fully ready. And part of my job before was to also invest in entities. So be sure that number one thing, this is called angel investment, so or pre-seed or whatever you want to call it, investing in a very early stage. This is extremely critical because you are betting on the owner, on the founder. Yeah, if let's for example, Victoria, you're the investor, and I'm a first-time entrepreneur. You have to believe in me. You have to believe that I would be running day and night every day for the next 4 years or 5, 10 years to make this company successful. So reach of finances is not a big issue. Of course, you have to be reasonable with your ask. You cannot come and expect you'll get 4 million from day one. You might have to talk to 1,000 people and maybe only 2 come to you. That's absolutely fine. But never limit yourself from opening a company due to finances. You will know based on the research part, because when you analyze the market and you see there is a gap, you would immediately know that you can start it today. Maybe with the smallest thing you can start. Then you can establish an entity when you're 8 years old, or you can establish an entity when you're 40 years old. Because I'm sure all of you have done something in the past, so I would say you would know after research. I'll tell you why when I say research, you have to do a lot of research. Technically, I don't know by hours, I don't calculate the number of hours I work every week. But even when I used to work for the investment firm that I used to work in, I used to establish entities on the side. But that means you have to work every day. When you leave the office, you continue working because you're investing. When you don't do your proper market, there was a time 50% of my salary goes to paying other people's salaries, like developers, etc. But if you don't do your research, that money will be wasted. So it's not only time that you're investing, but it's also money and your own valuable time to do something else. Look at key things. I would say market size, extremely important. Is it globally, regionally, if you can find it locally, even better, if you can go specific. Market size is important because you would be forecasting to take a percentage of that market size in the future, and you would know if that's worth it or not. Research, of course, I'll just say highlighted points. Research your competitors. If there's a competitor, dig extremely deep in what he does, in terms of even dig deep into the packages he offers to the clients. What can you do that's better or even similar? Dig deep on your pricing model and pricing strategy. Does that pricing model strategy work for our region or not? And you have to understand who your demographic focus is. Demographic focus is important, but it can pivot. But you would know that as you go. Simple stuff, by the way, in university. I believe that university was a very, very important time of my life. And they take the key points from university, and the SWOT analysis, the market analysis, all of these are beneficial tools to penetrate. I do not believe you should finance a company at a very early stage. First of all, you have to صراحة all have the important factor. Risk of failure is extremely high for a new entity. That's a fact. You should not be afraid of it. It's a fact, but you have to be ready about it. So if you finance or take a loan on an entity at a very, very early stage, God forbid something bad happens, you're stuck with a loan that you have to repay. So I would not like I'm thankful, and I applied, alhamdulillah, once to Bahrain Development Bank to finance. They were extremely helpful, but I at that point of time I did not click or tick some of the criteria they needed. That was very years ago, but I was happy after a while because I had to adapt. So don't and personally I do not recommend using loans as a mean to grow at a very early stage. You don't want to get stuck in the loan, honestly. Think of it in a different way. I was thinking in a positive way, honestly. I tried to change things. When I did not get the loan, that means I had to work 3 times harder to make sure my top line, my revenue, and my bottom line is healthy. So it made us all work 10 times harder, which, alhamdulillah, led to the company growing. So it's not a factor. I would say don't touch loans at the very early stage, but it's up to you. I would not recommend it as a personal aspect. You work 10 plus hours every day for a long, long time, sometimes 16, sometimes whatever. You work many, many hours every day. Not every day, let's say on average. You get your salary, but people exit because it's the ultimate, it's a bigger ticket of a reward in monetary value for you or for the founders who established the company. Because, for example, if you start an entity, let's say example, with 20,000 BD of a capital, you grow the company extremely well for the past 5 years, and then it's worth a few million. If you're lucky, you can exit. So if you exit, it's money in hand, then you can do other stuff. So I am with exits. I don't think you should be personally attached. I think you should be dedicated 110% for everything you touch. But do not be personally attached to a company, because if you exit, you can open another thing, okay, or you can do something else, or you might never exit. You might establish the company to be a huge company, to be a holding company, and you establish other entities under it. It's a choice you have to make. We created something that is extremely detailed, and we spent 2 years of creation to make it happen. 2 years with zero income. So we were just spending money to make it happen. And we were thankful that we wanted to create a product that matches the global standard of that selected market. It was a technology company. طبعا we did not exit in the numbers that you would let's be reasonable. It's a very normal exit. It had someone that of interest in the region, and he was interested to buy, and we were just lucky about it. When you face challenges, it's extremely not the easiest thing. I'll be honest. Even when you establish an entity, sometimes, sadly, you have to be the sad truth of opening a company. Sometimes, from how bad the challenge is, you can get sick. It happens. Then you get nervous, anxious, a lot. It's okay. But how do you overcome it? I honestly, I enjoy reading. So I read a very nice book once. It's called Mindset by Carol Dweck. It's a very simple book. It talks about the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And facing challenges, I think it's all a matter of mindset. Because sometimes when you open a company, you think you reached and like they say, a roadblock that you cannot overcome. But it's not actually a roadblock. You can pivot, you can change, you can maybe you have to close the company, but except يعني challenges is something you will face honestly every day, but have a growth, have a positive mindset about it, because when you have a positive mindset about it, when you see the challenge, it can be also an opportunity, and sometimes it's just a challenge. So you have to, I'll be honest, what helped us, all of us, is entering and facing the challenge with a positive mindset. That is what helped us a lot. But you have to be always ready with the possibility of change. So this is what helped us when we faced a lot of challenges, honestly. And there was a time, for example, for Nadher, there was a time that we were not moving at all, zero. You had no work, you had nothing. Yeah, you're like, what am I doing, Sarah? What is this company that I'm not doing anything with? And there's no growth and there's nothing. It's either, yeah, you can sit down and be upset about it, or leave wherever you're sitting, go meet people, go talk to people, go do some business development, approach other people. When you face these things, go out and penetrate it. You should not neglect your studies, honestly. You should not neglect having a very good, you have to maintain a positive attitude towards university, but if you have a business in mind, if just ask yourself, are you willing to sacrifice the time that you would do other stuff, maybe go out, depending what you do for fun, up to you. Are you willing? Let's ask yourself, are you willing to sacrifice that time to work on your idea? If that's a yes, you go ahead and do it. But if you're not serious enough to stop what you're doing and do it, don't lose on and everything you learn from, honestly. I personally, I cannot say don't work and study. I used to work and study. But I used to, like I said, I decided that I want to sacrifice some of my time to do other stuff, to work, to rather than go out to work. So you have to decide what you should do and what you want to do. Yeah, for example, my one of my partners at one, he is also my brother, but he also studied and worked when his last year in university. I asked him if he's willing to sacrifice his time rather than going out with his friends, traveling, whatever you want to do as an individual. So, but he decided, for example, and I decided when I was then that I want to sacrifice that time for that business. So, if you're going to do that, yani, do it. Do it and do your research and open your company, because you can do. Honestly, I believe you can do both. The human body can do a lot of things. And I'm sure you can do it. Stress is a normal thing to face. It's very, very normal. So don't think it's a bad thing. Stress is a very, very normal thing to face. So it's high risk, yes. It's stressful, yes, but don't let stress stop you. But don't let stress overtake you. And for example, I always recommend and I do it myself, and I always recommend workout. There is always time to work out because it gives you a lot of energy. If you like to spend time alone, spend time alone. And if you like to read, whatever, it's your time alone to isolate, do it. Because you need that energy to boost, to continue doing what you do every day. You have to face stress in a positive way, because it is a normal thing. So when you think of it as a normal thing, it won't overcome you. So that's how I deal with it. The reason why I worked in an investment company is because when you work in an investment company, predominantly the people that are you're facing, or your colleagues, are people that are much more experienced than you. So if you want to reach to their caliber fast, you go for it. And that's applicable for every entity, I'll be honest. It doesn't matter if an investment company or another company. You don't need to be, and I'm not saying you have to be an employee to be an entrepreneur. I'm saying if you look up to someone, talk to her, gain from her, honestly, gain from her, and then that will save you, honestly, a lot of time. And honestly, it will, and how it helped me and to enhance my learning curve in a faster manner. For example, when I wanted to learn financial modeling, I had a colleague who was amazing in financial modeling, amazing. But why would he dedicate his time teaching someone that was 21 teaching financial modeling? The guy came from New York, from Japan, whatever. He's extremely knowledgeable. But because I saw that he has the expertise, I used to, honestly, I changed my seat next to him. I used to bother him to teach me financial modeling, ask him 100 questions. Then he used to go tell me, check Google. Then I check Google. If I don't know the answer, I go back to him. He says, for example, check the help on Excel. I go back to him. He was like, what are you doing? Yeah, why are you bothering me? Go get yourself an Excel book. That's it. So I remember I went to, there's a library in Dubai Mall. I went to Dubai Mall. I bought an Excel book. I was not going to read it. I just wanted to show him that I'm committed. You know my point? So yeah, and you have to be persistent with the person that you want to learn from. Of course, don't be rude. You have to be polite because you want to learn from them. But if you find someone that has a lot of knowledge that you look up to, ask them to teach you. All right, this is one thing that's extremely beneficial, that helped me when I started my career. And I still do it. When I see someone that has more knowledge than I do, I go sit with them and learn from them, because you never stop learning no matter what. Another factor that I wish I used to do when I was very young is I wish I read more. أول آية نزلت على القرآن هي is اقرأ, which read does not come without a lot of purpose. So I wish I read more, because reading, honestly, I can't, how amazing it is, because it brings you so many ideas. Maybe not on spot, but reading is an extremely important factor that I learned from. And another thing I learned from a man he was my boss's boss, but then I learned from him very young, is you have to know that it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work. It's not something bad, it's something amazing, but you have to know that's a lot of hard work, and you have to be dedicated to put in that hard work. Because once you digest that in your brain, that you have to put in the time and effort to learn your business, to know your market, is the time where you start learning more and delivering more for yourself and for your business. But I won't say I do it every day, and it's a discipline that you have to capture. But it's something that's extremely beneficial that I learned from him. And whenever I try and see him, I try and sit with him and talk about it. So that's another thing that helped me a lot. So yeah, I would say expedite your learning. Learn from someone that's more mature, or you look up to him, or you want to gain the skills that he has in a faster manner. Always have it in your brain that whatever he learned in 10 years, you want to learn in 2 years. So what do you have to do to achieve that? That's up to you. So I would say reading, alhamdulillah, is a very, very strong factor that you can take advantage of, and understand that. And what in our discussion, what we're discussing today, is it's a lot of hard work. So I believe these simple stuff helped me a lot. I presume the question is, for example, I have an entity that's established and I want to create a new product. I'll give that example. It's, first of all, in your current product, you should never stop innovating. You should never stop with an aim of becoming more innovative and more efficient in whatever you're doing. Because the moment you stop, someone else will be doing something that's better than you on the side. So never presume that you're the only one there that's working. That's one. But on developing new products, make sure It's always good to create new lines of revenue or a new product, but make sure that it meets your capacity of doing it as a company. You can open 100 products, but does that fit your market? Does that fit your brand? So ask yourself these questions, and if it's a yes, do them. And tick the box. Yes, it won't harm my company. I have the resources, I have the capital, I can launch a new product. Because you can think of a million ideas, but you have to make sure you have the capacity to do them, and there will be no harm in rolling them out. But for your current products, you have to always improve them. Yani always improve them. Don't relax. Don't relax. Codot, we soft launched the company in October 2022. As an MVP, like we said, we rolled it out after our market. When you reach MVP, that means you did your research. The reason why we started the company is there are global competitors in what we do. But the reason why we started it, honestly, that we see a few things. We see the freelance industry growing year on year globally, not only in the region, globally, we see humongous growth. Two, which is the most important factor why we started, we saw the market, يعني Bahrain, Saudi, the region, كل دول العربية, all the countries that are neighboring, we have so many talent. يعني I'm sure in this code, يعني ما شاء الله, there's a lot of talented people. There's so much talent that people, the people, مثلا people don't know of. So what we wanted to create, our goal as Codot, we're just in the beginning. Our goal as Codot is to be the largest in the Middle East. So why do you want to become the largest? Because we believe, يعني, whoever is in the region is, يعني, we should not, يعني, before we used to hire a lot from Estonia, Ukraine, Poland, etc. For example, for developers. But we found out that, or UI, UX, depending on the solution, but we found out later on that a lot of experts or talented people, young or old, are in the region. So that's the idea that we wanted to create for the company. So the company, alhamdulillah, now is live. We're growing organically. We're still at the beginning. We want to reach a few thousands of freelancers by end of the year. But the ultimate goal is we want a platform. Alhamdulillah, our platform is strong, but we want a platform that unifies the Middle East talent in one place. Because honestly, I'm a believer that we have to endorse and help our region to grow. So yeah, alhamdulillah, that's the reason we started the company. If you want to visit, it's codot.me. So yeah, check it out. If you have feedback, send us feedback. By all means, if you're a freelancer, sign up, and inshallah we would add value to you, because that's our ultimate goal. We're still at the beginning. We want to create something fun for the students to give them more opportunities on the platform. So inshallah soon. We started talking about it a while back, and we're rolling it out soon. So we're still under the enhancement phase of it. And we want to give them more chance to grow, because they have so much talent and they should be noticed in the market. Yeah, because I'm a person believing, I believe that age is not a factor of success, of age is not a factor of how good you are. The best developer I ever worked with was 21 years old. He used to teach other developers, and he's the youngest in the team. So it's not, you should not don't think about your age as a limiting factor, honestly. Whether you're a freelancer or you want to open a company or you want to tackle a mature market, your age is not a factor. And one of the most successful people that I like talking to, he opened his firm when he was 28. And today, alhamdulillah, he is one of the largest in what he does. So regionally, not locally. So, and your age should not be your limit. So select your co-founders very carefully. Yani very, very, very carefully select your co-founders. Yani make sure you have a very clear, yani this is not something small. You're giving someone equity in a company that you want to grow. So don't select him because you like him. No, don't select him because he has the skill set that would add value to your company. Thankfully, I've had co-founders and they're all amazing, alhamdulillah. And then, but you select them very carefully. Distribution of equity, that's what I'm sure that's what you mean. Distribute it as per what is fair. So don't just share because you're kind. No, there's no such thing. If you're going to work on it, make sure you have a good enough equity to be motivated to work for the company. Co-founders is very, very, very sensitive. Yani be careful of, yani don't just select co-founder because of select. Make sure you select him because he will add value. Maybe his added value is he will invest in you through cash or whatever. That is fine, but you have to value the company in a proper way. Whatever you will do between your co-founders, you have to have a written agreement between all of you, and note everything down. Maybe you want a co-founder in marketing, write all the roles and responsibilities down. If they're fine with it and they will deliver, do it. And I would also consider giving something that's called vested. Let's say I have this amazing co-founder that I wanted to join. We tell them, okay, fine, if you stay 5 years with us or whatever, every year you will get X%, because you should not give, let's say, for example, the whole amount day one. Of course, if they do not stay the whole 5 years, there's different type of vested, but long story short, if they do not stay the whole 5 years, they do not get what is going to be written. They will get a lesser percentage or sometimes zero. So you do this to not only protect yourself, but also to protect the company. Today you might be the CEO, tomorrow you might not be the CEO. You might be a shareholder. So make sure that you take care of your company very well.